Yeah. All right. Well, we are back together, man. I'm happy that you buzzed me to come back and do this again.
Well, kind of addicting.
It is addicting, right? It really is. I've been getting messages since our first little one, and people are like, "Oh, they're excited! WTC! Oh my God, man!" It's like I refer to that site. It's where I go to for all my my vintage stuff. We truly have become like the vintage archive now. It's just, but we got a lot of positive responses from it, and I'm pretty stoked about that. So now it's like I want to do another one. I want to do another one, another one, another one.
Motivation,
Uh,
baby.
so we touched up last time about talking about WTC, what it is, where it came from, where it's at, where it's going. I think now it'd be kind of cool to kind of get a little bit of backstory about ourselves, just from our own perspective about kind of like the art of collecting wrestling cards, almost, from us,
Right.
and kind of when did we start collecting, basically. Like I know when I started collecting. When did you start?
Um,
Cards, just cards.
right. I would say, well, the only cards I collected some baseball when I was a kid, but that never really kind of caught my attention. But my first actual set that I ever collected was the 1990 Classic set. I think I saw some earlier stuff, some of the 87, 85 tops, but it wasn't really until I got a little older that I actually made a true effort to collect. And it started with the 1990 Classic.
1990 classic one, yeah, that first one, yeah. Not the WrestleMania one, the actual first one.
No, the actual first one. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually my first one was 85 tops. Um, I was God, where did I get them at? Got them at a liquor store to get some soda or something like that, or probably a Coke, And then I saw that box for the Hogan on it. It's like that, and I'm like, oh, and I was really into wrestling because I mean I grew up watching wrestling with my grandparents. My mother used to make me watch Honor the Giant, wrestle six midgets, on channel 56 at Telemundo in Los Angeles. And my grandma recently passed away, and that was one of the things we talked about at her service. Like that is about how grandma's pancakes, her tacos, and watching wrestling. That's what we got into. So I saw it, and that's when I started. But I wasn't a diehard. I was like you. I collected baseball cards, and I collected cards. I'd get a shoebox, and I put my shoebox, and I take construction paper, and I cut them out, and I had A's, B's, C's, D's, and I didn't really understand the numbering sequence in the back of cards. Like, oh, you just put them in order from a number. I'm like, no, I'm putting them in teams, man. I have my teams. Then I put my teams in alphabetical order. And I said, no, forget it. I'm putting them in order of my favorite players from each team, going, front to back. So here I'm watching the Dodgers playing the Yankees, going, I like Thurman Munson, man. I'm going to fool him. I got Thurman Munson card right here. Um, so I was mostly into sports, predominantly baseball. I played baseball. I followed baseball. I liked baseball. But then wrestling, I'm like, what's this? Wrestling? They make wrestling cards? But I didn't get serious about it for years. I didn't get serious about it.
For me, I started watching wrestling with my aunt. Actually, she got me into the Von Erichs, so that's kind of where it started. And then I remember seeing the main event, Savage and Honky Tonk Man. That was a bigger match to me than Hogan Andre, actually. And I fell in love with Savage. And then so the classic set came out, and there was Savage on it, and I was like, oh, I gotta have these. And that's really what started it for me, was my love for Randy Savage, and anything that he was on, I initially wanted. So that's really how it all kind of came together. And then after that, then they had the second classic at the WrestleMania set, and of course it was at WrestleMania 4, I think, highlighted in that set, and with all the WrestleManias. But again, it had Savage stuff, and so that's just kind of where it exploded. And then I think my next set, and it's kind of how you and I think connected. I think it was in a magazine, and I bought the NWA Wonderama.
Oh,
And I thought it said it was a set, and it wasn't. It was just a box. So I got a box with unopened cards in it. They were all unopened,
oh,
all
nice.
unopened. And so I opened it, and I think I ended up being, I don't know, a dozen cards short, and that's how I came across ComCollect, as it is. And you were selling cards, and I think it was a board on it, or somehow I was pushed to ComCollect, and that's how you and I got connected.
I
But
don't
those
remember
were the
selling
first, I
cards
think.
on Complex unless it was a message board of some kind.
This must have been a message board, because somehow I got pushed to ComCollect. You had to have a board on it, and I think that's how you replied. And
I
then
had a really weird, like the old version of like those really weird
yes,
message boards, not like today's. I mean, but they were really weird.
yeah, it had a subject, and it would kind of
And then it had
So
like a,
they,
a drop down, another drop down, and it's like reply,
yeah,
reply, like a chain email.
yeah, exactly. And I think that's how. All I know is it got directed to Conflict, and then I think I hit you up, and you're the one that actually I think helped me complete that set. You had all the missing cards that I needed, and I was really excited. I was like, 'cause that card's what 343 cards or
Yeah,
something,
it's a big card set.
big card set. So I was really excited to have that set. So
Well,
those were
when
the.
you got into those cards back then, for like the '90s classic, and for me, 85 tops. Like, how did you get your cards? Where did you find them? Where were you buying your cards at?
I want to say convenience stores, grocery stores. I think I don't remember going to Walmart per se, but that was in Texas. So I want to say just like a regular convenience store. They had them. They had packs there. They had boxes. As a matter of fact, I had so many of them, because there was so many doubles in those sets. But I remember,
The correlation was so poor.
yeah, it was awful. And but I remember I had boxes and boxes of that stuff trying to make a full set. And I think, as a matter of fact, I ended up going online and buying the set that came with the binder, and then it had like a poster, but it had it folded, so it was already ruined. But it had the breakdown of the set too.
Yeah,
That
I got mine because I found it at the liquor store, and then I got mine. That was my place to go to because the guy who was a manager of the store was a card collector, and his name was Frank Charles Murray III. That was his name. So I ended up working there, um, and he was so into baseball cards like that, and so he would order from some guy would come in and sell boxes, and we put them in on the rack and sell them, and he'd buy me a box. Well, I paid for it, but I mean, get a box for me. But that's where I used to get all my cards. Then I started finding out the sports cards shops, and they prominently just did football, baseball, basketball kind of stuff. And I was still into that. I was still spending a lot of money on buying baseball cards. I mean, Upper Deck, when they started as a company, they were in Yorba Linda, California. I lived in Yorba Linda, California. So when I used to clean model homes for a living, my buddy Brett and I used to go the Upper Deck place building, just a normal building in a commercial area. You wouldn't even know it was there. You go there and it's right in front of a railroad tracks. Would go behind it, right there in Yorba Linda, and we go over the railroad tracks, come up, and you come right behind Upper Deck. Then you see the backside of the Upper Deck, and that back would open up like a big old door would open up, and it was like Fort Knox. There's camera over here, camera over here, camera over here. I mean, there's cameras everywhere around there. But they're trash bins, and these big giant, they look like oil bins, but they're like ink bins, I guess, like that. We're all out there where they deposit all their trash. So when we would go in there, we go through the trash bins and we go through and find stuff, and you'd find all this huge stack of uncut sheets, but they were all off-centered, you know.
yeah.
So, but you pull them all out, and you're like, these are cool, man. We can still like cut the ones off that are so good, you know. But you go through them, you're like, they became more and more centered, more and more centered. All of a sudden, like the bottom parts of it were all centered stuff, like 2 or 3 sheets of centered stuff. You'd find packs, just all still attached, but not because they haven't been cut, but they're all empty. But you go through them, you'd find one pack that was full of cards, and all empty, 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 empty. You find a pack full of cards. I can't tell you how many Griffey rookies I pulled out of that shit. I mean, those were great because they were right there in our backyard. So I was very much into sports cards and wrestling, not so much. I think I got into wrestling cards hardcore as soon as the Comic Images set came out. That's when I really got into hardcore in '98. My friend Mark in Garden, Mark from Garden Grove. So he and I would go around. We'd go out and do what you and I ended up start doing a lot too. It's going out and getting autographs. We knew where WWE would come to town, in Anaheim all the time. So we knew which hotel to go to. That's where we got to meet. We met The Rock and everybody always come in there. And he was very much into collecting, and he knew all the card shops. So then we would go like, hey, there's like a little convention going on over in Fullerton, and Conan's going to be there. Like, all right, let's go. And we go there and we walk down the aisles, and some guy's like, oh, I got these promo cards from this, 94 action pack, 50 cents each. I'll take them. Got these promo cards for, this new art box set coming out, these little ticketer cards like that. I'll take them. That's how I got started.
Wow. Yeah, for me, I started with that classic set, the Wonderama set, and then things kind of died down, partly because I was a teenager at the time, girlfriends, other things. It wasn't basically until I think I moved to California I was going through stuff and I happened to find, my stuff. It's like, stuff is being stored. You start pulling stuff out. You're like, oh. Then the WWE or WWF magazine cards came out,
Oh yeah.
and I had a subscription, so I was getting all those in. And so, we talked about in our last video, about being completists. Well, I would be missing a card here, maybe missing a magazine here with the set. So I started, doing research, trying to locate those, hitting up eBay. And you start finding things. The next thing you know, just one thing leads to another. Before I know it, I've, 95 action pack, 94 action pack. And then, the newer generation of stuff in the late 90s started coming out. And I was on eBay buying up sets, or, you would hook me up or whatever. That's just kind of how it exploded. It started out slow. I enjoyed it. Went away from it because I was a kid, teenager. And then as an adult is when it really picked up as an adult. And especially with WTC, when we started doing WTC, for me to be able to do research, again, I talked about, I like to hold things like tangible. So, I wanted these cards in my hand. I wanted them in my collection. And so anything that we went after or we're putting on the site, I wanted to be able to have, or at the very least, when I would go see you at Frankenstein's or at your house, you would have those promo cards. You'd have those autographed cards. I remember sitting there looking at your display case and just being in freaking awe of some of some great cards in there, man, that you had. Hogan's swatch card. I just remember being so pretty. It was all those colors, yellow and red. And you're like, oh,
Yeah, I was so happy to pull that out of a case. I was living in Ontario at the time, and my friend Mark came over, and actually that's the very first official case of wrestling cards I ever bought, was the WCW embossed.
Oh, okay.
And I was looking to continue all those autographs because I had quite a bit of those WCW autographs. And he opened it for me, and he goes, "Oh, I think I pulled something you might be interested in," because he helped me open the back. And he pulled a swatch card like that. I go, "Oh, it's such a beautiful card."
Gorgeous card. Yeah, I used to be in such awe of your display case because I remember going to Frank's and I would just sit there and, and I'm not one, as we've talked about many times. I'm not a big collector outside of base sets.
Yeah.
Because what? Let's just be honest. The money that goes into some of these cards for a piece of cardboard that people are willing to pay.
We were just talking before we launched here today. We were talking about that.
And I'm not willing to pay that.
Nor am I.
So if it comes out of a pack, it will stay in my set. If it doesn't come out of a pack, the chances of me paying for it are slim and none.
Slim and none. Yes.
Exactly. So I'm a base card collector, but then I sit there, like I said, I would look at the stuff that you had, and I would just. I have very few autograph cards, and one of the few that I'm most happy about, and I think I actually purchased it because I'm a huge Bret Hart fan. I have the WCW Topps Bret Hart card. I actually got a steal on. I think I got a steal on that thing. But
yeah, you did well. All those cards have exploded in value right now. They've all exploded in value.
I want to say I paid like $20-30 for that card.
Yeah.
I barely paid anything for it. Somebody had it up there and I'll buy it now, and I was like, oh crap! And
okay, I'll buy it. Boom, done.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not one to do that, but I'm such a mark for Bret Hart that I bought it. But other than that, I have very few autograph cards, and it's just not my way. But I just remember in the 90s, that late 90s was that massive takeoff, in wrestling trading cards, and ever since then, I've been, up until 2016, I was heavily into collecting base sets up until that point.
Yeah, eBay was always a place to go. Once we discovered eBay, it was a place to go to find those things. I even used to use, in the early days, I was using Yahoo auctions because I oftentimes would find things even cheaper on Yahoo auctions because no one's even really there, and then I got a lot of good stuff off of Yahoo auctions. Matter of fact, I think I got my first, I might have gotten my first 82 Pro Wrestling All-Star set from Yahoo auctions.
Wow.
I think I picked up a whole set for like around $20.
Yeah, there was a time because that's how I got all those too. I don't think I paid more than $20 a set on those.
Yeah.
Even off of eBay, it wasn't until when did that explode? How long has that been going on? 10 years?
David Peck's gonna be a great guy to talk to, and I got him talking to him tomorrow, and he'll have a great history of that stuff, and I'm looking forward to that.
I really am too, because I just remember those cards were basic, cheap. They were kind of a neat little retro set that came out, and they just they had a little niche, but it wasn't. When you talk to Dave tomorrow, I'm sure he'll explain it, but they just exploded.
Yeah.
I can't imagine or can't believe the amount of money people pay for those cards now.
It's amazing to me. It really is amazing to me. When we started getting heavily into these cards, that's kind of where WTT came from, is just basically like trying to find information. Well, fuck it, I can't find information for myself. So, I mean, out there, I'm going to just provide information based on what I have actually in my hands. And so here's the cards. I have them. I know they exist. So it became like an archive of my own personal collection, really, to begin with. And then when you got involved like that, it just became like this, it blew up. It just became a place to go to have archive everything and have it. Before that, there was no visual images of it either. We didn't put any images at the beginning. It was just straight up checklists with information. So we had at least documented what we knew existed. Then trying to go to other sources, you'd come across certain message boards and forums like that. And that's when I thought, you know what, we probably should have a forum for ourselves like that. And that's where the WTC board kind of came from. And it's kind of exploded from there. But there's a lot of cool forums out there. I did some homework last night to talk about today about forums. I mean, we've got some cool stuff. Let me see if I can share a couple with you at all. How the hell we do this again?
I don't know. You're in control.
I'm in control. Let me do it. Choose a virtual. I can't remember how to do this now. But we have, there we go. I have some cool ones here. Like we'll start with this one right here. Net54baseball.com. They have a pretty cool section here of just, boxing and wrestling cards. So no one really gives it the same type of dedication that we do, obviously, because we're kind of niched. We're only wrestling cards. But it was places like this back in the early days that we'd go through and try to find information on stuff. And there wasn't very much of it out there. This was a good site. I know that they have, what we got here? There's Cardboard Connection.
Oh yeah, I remember them.
Yep. Yeah, they're very big sites like that. A lot of posts there. Their stuff is broken down. They do primarily a lot of sports, but they do have a non-sports section, and it falls in the other sports category most of the time. But it falls in there with tennis and NASCAR and things like that.
This has actually grown quite a bit since I've been on it last.
Oh, it's grown. I mean, I forgot about some of these, to be honest with you. It's like that.
I think I have this bookmark.
Let's see.
This was the source I was using at one point. I do remember this site.
Yeah, we got blowout cards.
Yeah. I used to use blowout, AEW right there.
Yep. And then what else we have in here? And we had sports card forum.
I think this is familiar to me too.
These are all great resources for people, and you see a lot of people who use our site also use these ones. These ones are a little more popular right now because, I guess there's just more people using them. I don't know. I mean, our site hasn't been updated in forever and a half, so I imagine people just stopped kind of using that. But we saw the same 4 or 5 guys, using our.
Yeah. Well, you got to keep in mind out of sight. If you're out of touch, it's gonna be out of sight. People aren't going to use it. So until we get it updated again, I'm actually kind of surprised with the amount of posts you do have on there right now.
For WTC? Yeah, I mean, we don't have the member base that, others do because they do specialize in other things. Well, not specialize, but they do carry more products than what we do. They do baseball and basketball and all that stuff.
Right.
And it's, we're that niche. We're that wrestling thing.
Yeah, when you're specialized in niche, you pretty much put yourself in a corner. You're only going to get that select few.
Yep.
Remember when we started the board, I was like, I can't wait till we get to 100.
To 100 people. 100 people, man.
500.
We'd be stuck like at 89 going. I was like stuck for like, what happened, man? We were going almost at 100.
Yeah.
I mean, now it's I think there's 1,100 plus on there right now.
Yeah, it kind of bruises the ego because you kind of think, I know there's more out there. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, there's enough people out there that just send us information. They got to come on and use our board.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just, but obviously a lot of people. We know there's a few people actually who were we were in contact a lot with on the boards that I think a couple actually have passed away since then. We had a guy that was on there all the time.
I got to ask you a question.
Sure.
And maybe you're going to get to it, but is there a set or a card that you personally had to have, that you fought for it, you looked for it religiously? Did you ever have that
Um,
desire? I know a lot of stuff came to you very easily. For me, it was a lot harder. So there's a few sets that I worked my butt off to find. I'm just curious what you were looking for that
I mean, I
you
got
had.
really hardcore into when Fleer took over. I got
Mhm.
really hardcore into the card collecting and being a completist. I really thought, oh, okay, I can handle 5 autographs in this release, and there's like what 15 swatch cards. It's like, sure, no problem. So that first Fleer set came out was pretty easy to come by. Making friends with somebody at Fleer kind of helped out. That really helped.
Right.
Um, I can't think of anything that was like die hard that I went after, like I had to go out and get. Like I was looking all over for it. If I was looking for anything, it'd probably be for you anyway. Like I got to go out and get it. I mean, I just happened to come across this particular promo card, and I know David's going to want one probably, so I got to find one. I can't think of anything from that time frame that was like a diehard I had to have. I mean, I didn't collect a lot of autographs either. They kind of came into my being, opening cases at the time, trying to, and doing selling. And the selling part of it was just to pay for my own collection.
Right.
Um, I really wanted that Triple H off the mat graph. I knew I wanted that. So I never could find one for a reasonable price for anybody who wanted to sell one. And then when Fleer went under, um, I called the lady I always talk to. I was there. It's like who worked the customer service. No, matter of fact, I emailed her and she emailed me back. I got a weird email from her and I didn't recognize the email because it wasn't from @fleer.com. It was from her own personal email. And she says, hey, I want to let you know I've been let go from Fleer. They're gone, we're gone, they're down to, I think they're going to be going out of business, but I grabbed some stuff for you to send you as a care package for, as a thank you for always being one of those customers who didn't call to bitch at me all the time. Like, where's my
Right.
stuff? So she sent me this little package. It was Ultimate Diva Collection and Clash packs. It was all rubber band together. I go, you bloody savages, putting rubber bands around these damn cards. But what I didn't see at first was when I took the rubber band off, in between of it, she sent me a Triple H off the mat graph, a Hurricane Mask card, and a Farouk knee brace card, the 3 hardest cards that Flair ever put out
Oh,
for my stuff.
wow.
She
Wow.
basically rated their archives like that and sent me those 3 cards. And then I pulled a couple redemption cards out of those packs that I can't even use.
Wow. That's cool though. She did that for you.
Yeah, so because I'd call all the time because especially that Ultimate Diva collection, you'd pull all these redemption cards, and I'd send them in, and I even had a redemption for, I think it was a Maven off the mat graph that he never signed for, and that's when she sent me I think she sent me a Trish Stratus one instead,
Oh.
which I think is winning there.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Very good.
those redemption cards were ridiculous, man. But then you had the real completists out there. I would like, so are you going to send me back the redemption card too, so I can have that part of my collection?
Oh
So
yeah.
we're not
I would,
technically we're not supposed to, but we're going to hole punch it. And we'll send it back to you.
yeah. I'd be one that would want it back.
Yep. So
Absolutely.
those were hard to come by too. The redemptions for those. But I'd probably say the Triple H off the mat graph just for my own personal collect, just because it bothered me that I couldn't get it as easily as everything else was coming to me.
Oh.
I think you had started finding some independent stuff that bugged me that you got a copy of it and I couldn't get one. And because you got it off of eBay or something, like somebody had a one-off or something like that. I think that weird Untouchable set.
Touchable.
Uh, Crap, I can't remember what the hell. I'm gonna go back and find it. It's called. I think it was called Untouchables. I don't remember what year that came out, like 90
Check the
something.
master check. Check the master check. That's got to be in the late '90s or 2000s.
Yeah, I'm looking at. I don't remember who the hell it was. Unbeatable. I'm sorry, the Unbeatables, the Mid South Wrestling cards from '93.
Oh yeah.
You got a copy of those, and I could not find them for the life of me.
You never got a
Yep,
set?
that's it. Which, by the way, I've recently seen that up on eBay. I thought I saw, and I think someone was asking like $100 for it.
Really?
Yeah,
Hey man. That's
Nine,
93, isn't it?
93.
93. Yeah.
I think your big name in there is probably like a like maybe Rick Morton or something.
Yeah, Ricky Morton, The Sheik. That's no, that's not the original. That's someone.
Yeah.
Don't don't.
I remember you getting a hold of that, and I thought that's kind of cool. And that seemed like to be like a local, a regional set that someone
Right.
put out. And I just because you had tapped into a market, an area that I had never even fully went after. It's like that. You were such the researcher. You go out there and find everything. You just stumble across things, and all of a sudden people are like emailing you. Oh yeah, I'm the promoter for this particular organization. We did some trading cards, blah blah blah. So I'll be happy to send you a set. I'm like, well, now I don't have that set. I got to go find it. So those became my sets that I really wanted to go out and find.
For me, um, the WCW magazine cards. You had given me
Oh, that's a good example.
You had given me the first 3 sheets, and then there were 3 more sheets. And
I think I was pretty cocky about that too, going, "That's it, man. That's all there is. These 3 sheets."
yeah, and I knew there were more because the numbers didn't correspond correctly. And so I looked and I looked and I looked and I looked. And it took me a long time to figure out what the second magazine was. And then finally I figured it out, and finally I got those last 3 sets. And that was a big deal for me. That was huge. God, that was huge. I searched for that high and low. I would search every day, just repeatedly, just search eBay.
I actually have because they were done in Series 1, Series 2, Series 3 through Series 6. I have a Series 1 sheet sitting over here on the floor over here.
Those were just I only wanted them because I knew they had to exist. There was just that challenge. It wasn't that they were anything truly special.
No, they're beautiful cards. They were nicely done on a nice gloss, and they're really nice looking.
Yeah. The other set, and I wish I had the money at the time, is that Lucha set from CML.
Oh yeah.
From Topps.
Yep.
And I've seen pieces of it. I think somebody was selling a box at one point on eBay. I don't think I've ever seen a true full set for sale.
No, I haven't either.
I've seen singles for sale.
Is that the one with Jericho's first little card in there? Yeah. He tweeted that not too long ago. That card. That no, he didn't tweet. Yeah, he tweeted it, but somebody else on Twitter. I think the Wrestling Trading Card Twitter page account.
Uh-huh.
He tweeted it was like the elusive, my holy grail I've been searching for, and he actually got one in hand, a Jericho card. Yeah.
Somebody had put, there were singles on eBay, and I captured all the images, except I never saw Jericho come up. So one of the few cards I don't have an image for is Jericho.
I think we can get that now from that guy. I bet he'll be happy to share it.
Yeah, because that's what I need the Jericho. I'd have to go back and look, but I know for a fact I didn't get a Jericho. I know that for a fact I didn't get a Jericho.
I never actively pursued those at all. I never did.
Yes, I did pursue them. I did look for them, and then when they finally came out, I just didn't have the money for them because I would have spent the money on those cards. That's one of the sets that I would have actually paid for because it was such a unique and rare set. Wow.
It's serious when David Porter's willing to pay for a card set like that. It's serious.
Yeah. I wanted that set. That's how, because the Wacky set was same company as Topps.
Another one. Fuck. It's like going down memory lane.
Fun. I'm gonna go more. The NWA Wonderama test run set.
Yep.
I thought that was a neat set, and I had to have it.
I had a guy that messaged me. He was a regular that.
Yes.
I can't remember his name.
And
I think once in a blue moon he still I still have my old AOL account.
Mm-hmm.
And once in a blue moon I'll go back and check, but I have like 90,000 unread emails from there. And I think I had to go there once because I had an account that was tied to that. Might have been WTC actually. I think WTC was tied to that account as a backup. And I went there and I go, oh, I remember this guy's name. And he offered me, apparently he bought out all that NWA Wonderama stuff.
Yes, he did. Yes, I remember that guy, and he had test runs. He had the full run.
He even had the cells that were used.
Oh, I didn't know he had the cells. I know he had a lot of uncut sheets, all that stuff.
He wanted to sell it all to me. Thinking about the price now is like cheap compared to what is is worth now.
That was a set that I wanted really bad. The other thing that I was big on was the ice cream cards. Not that I owned them, but I wanted to complete them.
Fucking hey, Jesus, that's right.
And we had a guy that used to send us images
Yep.
all the time, and we have everything up. I think they stopped making them around 2002 or something.
Yeah,
And
somewhere.
somewhere in there, and there was a WWE version of it and a WWF version in the same year.
Yeah, same year, exactly.
Changed the name over at that time. So we're missing some of each. We're missing some WWE ones, some WWF ones. But he would send them. I'd have to go into our emails and look. The other set that I used to collect and was the Danbury set.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, that the ice cream ones ran through 2008.
Oh, is it 2000? Okay, so a lot
They
later.
ran from 88 to 2008. They used to be Good Humor. Then they went
Yes.
to is it Unilever?
Yes. The reason I remember, I think we have every image up till '08. It's just that 2000 year and 2002 where they did the name split, where they changed the name.
Yeah, we got '08.
Yes, we should have all of it. It's just 2002 that we're missing some because,
Yeah, 2002 we're missing the WWF. We're missing quite a bit WWF
yeah,
and missing 2 cards for WWE.
there you go. I know that the Danbury Mint set, they had a switch over as well at the same time. So they actually went back through and re-released the original set with the WWE logo on it.
That's
But
right.
there was a version of it that came through that was all WWF stuff.
That's right. They sure did.
Now I'm gonna tell a secret that I've never told anybody, and I've never told you. Okay, so the Danbury Mint cards, I do know that they went through and they re-released it all right.
Yeah.
You know how I got the images for the WWE version of it?
How?
I manipulated it, all the original cards, and I cut out the WWE symbol of it, and I cut and pasted on all of them, so we have it. So I cheated, is what
Yeah.
I'm saying, but I have the images, and you can't even tell the difference.
I never knew.
No way you could tell the difference. Let's just say I'm proud of myself.
Yeah. Wow. But they look, that's the exact same image though, right? I mean, it's the same as that card.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, it's the same card. It's just I just in the corner, in the right hand corner, they had WWF or WWE. And I wasn't going to go through and reorder the whole set. I was one of the original collectors of that set. I got it from when it first came out. So I got every card from the beginning to the end. You got 2 cards or 4 cards a month, and it was like $24 or something like that a month.
It's expensive.
It was expensive. And
they were charging $9 a card. So it'd be $20 for 2 cards.
Yeah, it was expensive. And you paid for shipping. And I also have there was a Mankind special edition or something.
There's a Mankind special one too. It's like a 24 karat gold card, something like that.
Yeah. So I have, that's it. But I had to, because I knew they did it, I cheated a little bit because I was like, crap, I'm not going to go back through and reorder all these again. So I cheated a little bit.
That's expensive.
Oh yeah, it was a very expensive set, and I still have
the Danbury Mint collection went from 2002 to 2005.
Yeah. So there, I mean, I gotta go through here and look at some of this stuff so I can kind of tell you some of the stuff that I was really.
I can never look at these cards the same way now. Looking at them, I'm like, oh. I'll tell you one thing: for a guy who didn't know a whole lot about Photoshop, you did a hell of a job. Very proud.
Yeah, I cheated a little bit there, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I mean, it's not like okay.
Well, we know they exist. It's not like they don't exist.
Yeah, and I wasn't. It's not like I tried to. It's not like I tried to create a WCW Tops card and I say this is the Ultimate Warrior one that never came out here.
Yeah. You weren't creating a bogus product.
Yeah, I wasn't doing that. I just like I said, I cheated a little bit just because I knew the cards existed. It was either find them or just move over the image, and that's all I did. And right or wrong, sue me for it, I guess. But it was a way to get the images up there, and I knew if they have them, you can't tell the difference. I wasn't trying to cheat. I'm not selling them. I wasn't misinformation. It was none of that. So
yeah, it's for informational purposes. I wasn't there to actually make any money. That's what the whole thing about WTC anyway. It's never been about monetary stuff.
Right. Now I love, again, we were talking. I really enjoyed going after a lot of these indie sets. That's one of the things when I do get back into this, and when we start working on this again, I'm going to be excited.
There's a lot more now than there ever was.
Yeah, there's a PWX set. Oh, I always enjoy going after those Guerreros del Ring magazine cards.
Yeah, I had a little bit of a hookup with that because, being in Southern California, we had guys that would visit Mexico quite often and come back, and they bring stacks of magazines.
Remember we went to Charlotte in '07, and I brought back the Carolina Independent Wrestling Trading Card Series.
That's right.
I brought that back.
I have something around here. I have a demo, something around here. Give me 1 second. Keep going now.
Well, I'm just looking at cards in here. There's PWX, there's EWA, those Lemon cards out of, I think it's Germany. Brand X, CWA trading cards. Ring of Honor had those cards out of their DVD packs.
Oh, those are fun.
Yeah. Remember Brimstone? He has trading cards.
Oh, yeah, Brimstone.
Yeah.
Got his cards.
EWA. We had Florida Championship Wrestling. We had a good connection with Missouri Wrestling Revival. He used to send me his cards once a month. Every time.
Oh, yeah, I remember that too.
Yeah. So SoCal Pro Wrestling, they had 2 sets.
Oh, we have. Remember we got these when we were back in Charlotte. We got one.
Oh yeah.
It's never got released.
No, they didn't.
To my knowledge, it never got released.
Yeah, he was working hard. There was all supposed to be autographed.
Yeah, because he wanted to work out a deal with us to have our logo put in the back as being a sponsor for that.
Right.
Never got around to the financials, but I'm sure it was something that we couldn't afford anyway. So.
Well, I talked to him, and it was always we're working on it, and then things slowed down. Then I think there was an issue between the partnership between the 2 guys that were trying to put it together, and it just kind of fell apart. So if those ever got released or whatever he had, they were probably released around the Carolinas somewhere. But more than likely, they're probably sitting in a drawer somewhere.
I've been sitting this for a long time. I mean,
yeah,
cool card. I liked it, and they were numbered, in the back.
Cool. I think they're up on the site. I don't remember, but Greg Price actually had released 2 cards. There were 2.
He had a Gordon. Didn't he have a Gordon Solly one at one time?
Yeah, I think he had a Gordon, and then he also had a Jim Ross and a Jim Cornette card.
I think he had this one.
Yes.
And there's 2 versions of this card, by the way.
Yes.
2 different colors.
2 different colors. You're right. But they also had the last year they did the Fan Fest, he also had a Jim Cornette and a Jim Ross.
Oh, I didn't see those.
Yeah, I have those images. I don't know if they're up on the site. I don't think they are. I have the images, though. And if you go to his site, you can see them up there. I just don't know if you can buy them anymore. I mean, he stopped promoting a long time ago.
Yeah.
They did a set. Martin D'Amato did a set. Well, actually, he didn't do the set. He had a buddy of his who did a set, but it was released at the last Fan Fest in Charlotte last year.
This is The Gathering, wasn't it?
The Gathering, yeah.
Yeah.
And I have that set. I haven't scanned it yet, but I do have it. That's a nice little, I don't remember, it's 30 cards or something like that, maybe a little bit more. And that's a nice little set. So, but like you're saying, there's so many of these indie sets out there. I happened to jump on the board the other day, and I saw somebody announce a new indie set and kind of had some images up there. And I think that's really great that the guys are putting it out there. By the way, I kind of talked to, we talked this a little earlier. I got some messages from some guys. I think it was Nick.
Yep, I got from Nick too.
Saying that they're willing to help, and I really appreciate that a lot.
Big time, yeah. I think I got to reach out to Chuckster as well, because someone on Twitter suggested. I think David Peck suggested Chuckster as well. No, he didn't actually. Somebody did. Somebody sent. We should talk to. Oh, you know who did was the guy who commented on our last video, Paul Nunn.
Oh, Paul. Yeah, Paul did. Yeah.
Yeah, working on getting Paul on one of these. I want to talk about his price guide and stuff like that.
I'm looking forward to some of these guys that you're going to get on and interview with and have these conversations with, because their knowledge is so valuable, and these guys have been collecting for so long, and they have a passion for it, and those are the kind of guys that have kept WTC going. Those are the guys that
Yep.
were part of the motivation to keep the site going and working hard, because they were so into it and they really appreciated what we were doing. So I'd love to see those guys on and see what they have to say.
It's nice to see people still kind of, you make a little blurb about like, hey, check out this new little YouTube channel like that. And all of a sudden everybody's like, what? WTC? What? Oh man. I mean, it's like, it's just, it's a good feeling to know that you provided some information for a community out there who, you know, at one time people were like, you collect wrestling cards? What are you, a fucking nerd? What's going on, man? I mean, what do you play D&D too? What's going on? It's just, and now it's kind of a serious thing. People are actually, they're investing in it. It's wrestling cards are now almost like a stock, you know, and you got to know when to buy and know when to sell. It's like regular sports.
Yeah, well, I think originally cards, wrestling cards weren't considered truly valuable. They were kind of like, I don't know, collecting toys, cartoons. You know, nobody really took it serious. But then when they started releasing autograph cards, I think that was really kind of the beginning of it. People saw the value in those cards, and then you started having swatch cards, and you're having a piece of the
Which,
ring.
by the way, wrestling, wrestling is, it walks that fine line, you know, sports entertainment. So is it
Right.
sports cards or are they entertainment cards? No, non-sports or sports, non-sports or sports. I've always put wrestling in the non-sport category more than I would put in the sport category. Nothing to take away from the athleticism that, you know, the talent does. I'm talking from a collectability standpoint and how you view it. With that being said, the very first swatch card in the non-sport world was the 99 WCW and Boss Hogan swatch card. They didn't have any other swatches from Buffy or Star Wars, none of that stuff.
You know, it's amazing how one card can ignite a genre, a collecting world, because it did. That one card set off a chain reaction in all sports, in non-sports and sports.
Well, sports already had swatch cards.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sports already had a piece of the home play, a piece of the you know, the mat, piece of their jersey. They had all that stuff before.
But at least in non-sport, it took off.
It was a non-sport thing that had been done before, like, you know. But who wants, like, what can we get from, like, you know, the Charm TV show? Well, we'll get something from the companies like that some actress wore, and we'll cut it up. And that's what they did.
For me to release a Hogan one set a tone right then and there, because everybody, I don't care who you are, if you're into wrestling, you know who Hulk Hogan is.
Even if you're not into wrestling, he's a household name.
Yeah, he's just huge. He's like The Rock now. I mean,
yeah,
you don't have to know wrestling to know who The Rock is.
No, you don't. Very few actually transcended into, you know, household names, I think.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Hogan was on everything. I mean, when Hulkamania first off, he was in Rocky 3, and then when Vince brought him in '85, that just ballooned into what we have today. But I think that was a great choice on their part to do that with Hogan. There are few wrestlers that could have done that at that time to help it explode.
Mm-hmm.
Hogan's one of them. Andre, maybe Savage at that particular time.
Yeah.
You know, and that was the right name definitely to go with. So.
And when it comes to the collecting side of it, though, the part that I miss from collecting is the thrill of the chase.
Oh, of course.
That's what I miss. I miss opening packs. I miss you know, finding the card, like you're frustrated. That's what I want to talk about here real quick, is like the frustration of trying to find something and you're pissed off because you can't find it. And then you finally find it and you're like, I have it, man. But then all of a sudden it's like a drug, man. That it only lasts for a little bit. You kind of put it away, you put it in a sleeve, you put it in a little binder, you put it aside, it sits in storage, hope it doesn't get too much dust over the years. And you're off looking for something else to kind of fuel that adrenaline. Is that what it is for you?
Oh, absolutely. And you know what used to be the frustrating part? eBay. Because they get on eBay and you find that card, and then you wouldn't win it. It's the only one. I'll never see it again. Damn it! You're cussing up a storm. And Next thing you know, the
You,
next day it's on there again.
you'd have assholes like me who learned how to write a little program back before there was, eSnipe.
Okay.
And you have a guy like me who learned how to go, because back in the day, eBay's API was wide open. So it was anybody can pretty much have access to it for the most part. So you can literally write a quick little program that will go in the last 2 seconds of an auction and place a bid and snipe it. Of course, and they lock down their API and stuff like that, and then you had to have licensing rights or whatever, or deals with eBay. So you had companies like eSnipe and stuff like that, and yeah, I joined them too. And then I got a lot of stuff I kept there and like sniped at the last second.
I know you're the one who told me about eSnipe, and I still
Oh,
have
I
eSnipe,
know.
and I still use it. I tried to use it a while back or something, but I didn't win it. But the idea of having it was great.
Sure. Because now you're like, here's what I'm willing to pay for it, top, including shipping. This is what I'm willing to pay for this item, and let your ego get out of the way and just go like,
Yep.
Here it is. If I win, great. If not,
well, eBay taught you too that if you don't win it today, there's a good chance it'll be on there tomorrow. There was always another one. It's rare. I mean, there's certain cards. Obviously, there's certain cards you're not going to see again, but you had a pretty good chance of seeing it again. It all came down to what you're willing to pay. I just remember, I not a trading card, but I was after British Bulldogs WWE Coliseum video release, and I remember I wanted that damn thing so bad, and I lost it at the last minute. And I remember I was cussing up a storm. My mom, she was like, "What is wrong with you?" I was like, "I can't get it."
you're trying to find out, trying to email the seller or ask the seller, can you tell me who you sold it to so I can get a copy from that person?
Right. But it's funny. The next day it was on there again. I was like, oh, and the world is correct. The world is right. I can live. I know I have a chance at this.
I waste all that negative energy over something that is just back up tomorrow.
So stupid, but yeah, I know exactly. I know exactly. I love the chase. I love the chase.
Because you were not a pack opener.
Not too often. No, I was. Well, you're the problem. Let's just be honest. I didn't have to open packs because I could get the whole set from you.
Yeah, well, that's true. Because I was buying cases.
You were buying cases. You always had a set, and I'd say, "Hey, set aside for you." Always set a set for me, so it was easy.
I still got some in the closet over here, as a matter of fact, for you.
That's what I'm talking about. But that's just it. I mean, I didn't have to open packs. I didn't have to go buy boxes because my best friend had my set for me. It's like, I got your back. Don't worry about it. And I never, what, new set would come out. I was like, yeah, I'll get it.
And I'll get it.
No problem. So
I know where to get it.
Yeah.
Hey, you didn't happen to buy that, did you?
Yeah, right. But where the chase came in for me was the indie cards, WCW magazine cards, completing stuff that I didn't have. The one, magazine cards, I'd have to go buy the magazines and stuff like that. So that's where the chase came in for me. It was always rewarding. But like you said, the moment you got it, you felt great. Then you were on to the next thing.
Yeah, because the high would go away, and then you'd have to turn around and okay, what am I going to replace that with? Oh, there's other one I can go after now. And
yeah, I mean,
me, it was always opening packs. The thrill of not knowing what was inside those packs like that. You pull something out, you're like, we still have our buddy. I think Colin still works over at Topps.
Oh, okay.
As far as I know, it's been a while, but for a couple of years there, they would send me one box of all the release of their stuff, and he sent me second year Undisputed, which at the time was their high end product. So it had I don't know how many packs in it. Every pack had an autograph and swatch, whatever it's like that. And so I opened it up like that. I'm like, and I pulled a taker, number to 10. Like, I have no desire to keep you, but I'm so happy to have you. It was just so fun to, just to pull that stuff. And I scanned it, and I have an image for it for someday. And that was the fun I had.
I never had a lot of success in packs. I would buy stuff, and rarely did I pull out an autograph or anything. So I'd be like, fuck this.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating. So why spend the money?
I see some guys on the WTC board, maybe Chuckster or Nick or somebody on there was talking about they buy a lot of retail packs, like whether blister packs or it's like that, which traditionally didn't have a whole lot of good hits. I mean, WCW had where you can only get I think the Bobby Heenan one was only available in retail packs and stuff like that. Um, but there wasn't really a whole lot of good hits in retail product. Now they seem to be like, hey, I pulled this one of one out of this pack I bought at Walmart.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like, holy shit. Maybe I should go back to Walmart and start buying some packs.
Right? Yeah, I
So it's
never
just
got, never
a
got
thrill.
that lucky.
I do miss it. I kind of want to get back into maybe every once in a while, maybe buy a pack or two. Trust me, to this day, anytime I go to Walmart or Target, if I got to go, the wife sends me off to go get something that Target's like that, I just kind of walk by the old trading card section going, nothing really. I got to stay away from here.
Yeah, I know exactly how you feel.
All right, man. It looks like you might have to be going.
No, I'm good.
Oh, you good? Let's see. Who's my wonderful aunt is texting me to try and stay cool. You guys need to have a cool drink, she says. Love my aunt. Matter of fact, she was with me a couple times. My aunt was with me a couple of times when I bought some wrestling cards.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, we go to some flea markets, and you find someone there who had just random box of cards and craps like that. You'd find like there's that Hogan picture, So I better pick that up
Yeah.
because I never know what might come in it. The gum might still be good.
Yeah.
I think we did that once when I was at Julio's booth at Frankenson. Somebody opened up. It wasn't wrestling. It was like GPK Garbage Pail Kids. Someone
Right.
opened up an original pack of Garbage Pail Kids like that and chewed the gum.
Ooh.
Oh, first off, it was nasty as hell. I can tell because it just started and it all just dissolved. It went away.
Yeah.
Just like,
Oh.
oh man, I don't really miss that place. To be honest with you,
The first
you
time I
came to
went,
Frank's a few times for some stuff.
yeah, the first time I went there was probably the best time because I found a bunch of crap that I wanted. I was all excited, blah, blah, blah. And then you go back and every time was a letdown because they had less and less of what you wanted.
Yeah,
I would mainly just go to hang out with you or go to the wrestling because Bart always had me hooked up with going to the shows and stuff. And I remember going to some fun shows they had. Was it Revolution Pro he had there? And
I think you took my daughter a couple of those shows. I think.
I went with Deborah a couple times and I had fun. Those are fun shows. I think the best match I ever saw or the most fun I ever had was Big Baby Slim versus Super Dragon. I was trying to think.
Super Dragon.
Oh, it was a great match. They beat the crap out of each other. I had a lot of fun at those shows. And
That's when I was still working with Julio, I think,
yes, you were.
before I opened up my own booth.
Yeah. And I remember I'd come down there and bring my laptop and I'd just sit there in your booth. And
Yep.
they're all day with you. We'd just shoot the shit all
Shoot
day.
the shit all day.
Yeah.
I think that's even back when I started doing stuff with RVD. And someone would watch my booth for me so I can run over to the store because like either Bret Hart was signing, I think Chris Benoit signed. It was like WrestleMania week or something like that when WrestleMania 21 was there, I think.
Yeah.
Who else was there? Well, then someone watched the booth and you and I went.
Mhm.
It was when I think Kane was there, and we're like, fuck Kane. There's Tony Garea, and he's like, what do you guys want to talk to me for?
So they don't have your autograph.
We don't have your autograph, man.
Yeah, it's funny, little side, when it comes to collecting autographs, Hogan's and Kane's, those are usually pretty easy to come by. But yeah, Tony Garea's usually seem to slip by you. And so, you want to get those when you can. And, he had a hell of a career. People don't realize he was multi-time tag team champion. And so, yeah, grab that stuff. It's like that.
Who was the one? Oh, like I was so jonesing to get his autograph for so many years like that. And you and I went to James' Legend of the Ring show that one year. And what's his nuts? Skinner.
Stephen Kern. Yeah, I was
Steve Kern. Yeah. Because you had gotten him before. And I go, God, I really want to get him. Like, because you talked him up nicely.
Yeah,
we got there. I said, yeah, there's Eric Bischoff over here, and there's such and such over here. We're gonna go see Sting a little bit later. And who cares? I came here for you. He's like, me? I go, for you.
It's funny. I made a post the other day because it's been 5 years since Piper's been gone.
Yeah.
Piper's been gone, and you were the one I'd never met Piper, and you were the one that said you got to meet him. He's so nice. He just makes you feel like you're the only one in the room. And I remember walking up to him, and that's exactly how he
Yep.
made you feel. And he was amazing. And I met that was the first time I met Piper, but I met him a couple more times. He was exactly the same way every time.
Every time.
Made you feel like you were the only fan in the room. You were the most important person there. He was just
All those years of meeting him and talking to him, I had never gotten a picture with him until he was at the Hollywood show in California. And I said, I got to do this. I mean, I run into him so many times at the time, different shows. So I couldn't leave my table. So I was working with John Schneider from Dukes of Hazzard. And so I said, John, can you come over here and take my picture with, with Piper? He said, yeah, absolutely. Because they actually worked out together.
no.
They had worked out together when he was filming They Live. And John was doing something, and they happened to be in the same city, and they ended up working out in the gym together. So they had some history together. So they came over, reminisced, and they took my picture with Piper. And the last time I saw Piper was with when I was with Jericho, and we were in the Boston area, like Framingham or something like that, for a Super Mega Fest. And Piper was there doing photo ops, and Jericho was traditionally late, and showed up. And instead of going to the long last line of people waiting for him, went over to go talk to Piper. So I have a picture of them together in the photo booth, talking and hugging each other and stuff like that. And that was the last time those two saw each other.
Well, I just, it amazes me that he's been gone for 5 years.
5 years.
Yeah.
My buddy Dennis at the wrestling guy store, who he helps out over there. When he passed away, that next day, Channel 2 wanted to come into the wrestling guy store and do interviews. And so Dennis and I were both on Channel 2 News. And he posted up on Instagram yesterday or day before, whatever it was, and posted there's a shot of us on Channel 2 News, the news segment,
Oh, wow.
reminiscing about Piper.
Yeah, I it just happened to come across my Facebook feed, and I was like, shoot, this guy's been gone that long.
5 years.
It doesn't seem like it's been that long,
Yeah, I mean, last time I ran into any of the Pipers was after China passed away. Ran into his kids at the memorial service over in Redondo Beach. I got invited to go there because I had worked with China a few times, and we would text each other and send little funny voicemails or videos to each other. It's like that, kind of stuff like that, And so Anthony, her manager, had invited me to the memorial service. And I said, can I bring a friend? He goes, well, I already have your seat. I said, where am I sitting? I said, you're sitting with the family. I go, what? Yeah. And I said, well, I'm bringing a friend. So like that. He goes, okay, well, I'll just switch out. Not a big deal. So I brought my friend Dennis with me, and we were in the back area before the whole production started. It's like that. And, in comes walking RVD, and Waltman walks back there. And then here comes, Piper's kids. They were there too. And just the nicest people. Everybody was nice.
Yeah.
It was just a fun times like that. But it's just amazing to think about these people that we interacted with, and they're gone.
Oh, I know.
You see some great segments, like some of these Twitter pages or even Facebook, reminiscing, throwing some cool vintage stuff out there. And you go, Jesus Christ, everybody in that ring is dead.
Yep.
Everybody, and they're like, none of them are like, they're all names. They're not like just jokes. They're all names. They're all dead.
Yeah, and every time one of them passes away, I feel like a piece of my childhood is gone.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
My first memories of Piper actually aren't his feud with Hogan, but WrestleMania 3, dealing with Adrian Adonis, and then coming back at 5. So those are my memories of Piper, and he was always for the most part, Piper was a face most of my time with him that I remember him. I've seen all the stuff, the heel work, the early Hogan stuff, but my true memories of him were as a face, and I always enjoyed that. Savage died on my birthday, and he was like my first wrestler that I was just a huge fan of.
Yeah.
And I remember meeting him and Gorgeous George at the MGM Grand. They came walking in about 3:00 in the morning, and I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
I never saw that coming. He wasn't supposed to be on the card or anything. She wouldn't take a photo, but he would, and I was so grateful for that. I got an autograph from him. But yeah, you have all these guys that just slowly, one by one, and I just think, such a huge fan of Demolition and Bret Hart and all these guys, and they're all getting older, and they're all going to start going at, Bret's been through so much. Cancer survivor now, is stroke survivor, all this stuff,
Yep.
Blair looks like he's on the verge of death all the time. And you're just, I'm not trying to be funny when I say that, but these guys, they're getting older, and every time one goes, it's just a piece of me goes with them, because I was so vested in wrestling for so long that they were truly a part of my life. I mean, Saturday morning, I remember Saturday mornings get up, watch Superstars, and then, Saturday night was WCW Saturday night, or NWA, and then I lived in Texas at the time, so later that night was either a Saturday night's main event, or it was USWA or World Class, was on for 2 hours at night. So I was watching probably 8 hours of wrestling on Saturday. That's so pathetic, right? But I mean, it was such a part of who I was and a part of my life. So, and that transcended to collecting too. It was such a big deal, because I'm watching them on TV now. I want to own a piece of them. So, it was, whether it was videotapes or trading cards, it all transcends. So every time and I open up these old, or I see images of these guys, and I just think, man, and I hear stories like that event took place 30 years ago. I'm like, holy crap, I'm that
Yep.
old. I'm like,
that makes you old too, buddy.
yeah, exactly. And see, it's funny. You did something for one of your shows, and you were putting, I think it was
It was Duggan.
And look.
It was for Hacksaw.
Right. When I think of these guys, I think of them in their prime. I think of them young, vibrant, whatever their look was. That's how I think of them. When I see photos of them today, that's not who I remember.
Yeah.
I don't mind going and getting a photo with them and going, okay, this is how they look today. But what draws me to the event is when I see photos of them in their prime and their best gimmick or whatever.
Sure.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just, obviously that's just my opinion, but that's how I remember them. So, because you could put up a photo of, I don't know, some of these guys don't even look anything close to what they look. You look at just Flair. He looks like a shell of what he used to look like. He used to have the long flowing hair, the NWA belt. To me, if I was going to go to an event, that's what I want to see. Or Hogan with the old WWF belt. I just want to see them in their prime. That's what draws me. That's what I remember as a kid, and that's what draws me to them. And you get there, you're like, yeah, they're older. You can live with that. But getting into the door, that's what I see.
Yeah.
And when I open up my trading cards, that's what I remember. Those are glory days to me. Going to click on there's Hogan doing the leg drop, or there's Savage coming off the top with that elbow, or Bret Hart, doing the clothesline for the Hart Foundation, or whatever it is. That's how I remember them. And to me, that's how I look. I look at my cards that way. It's a glory day of professional wrestling, and that's what I love. And WTC, that represents that for me. It represents that childhood memory, and it's captured right there. Every set you go into is you capture that moment with them, and so that's how I choose to remember, and that's what makes me want to collect too. I have to say, because I still want a piece of that old school, or that whatever it is today. Even I just want a piece of that moment, and I think that's what collecting is about. I think it's why you have them on trading cards, because it keeps jogging that memory. You're like, oh yeah, I remember that match, I remember that moment, and now I can own a little bit of it. So.
Just as long as we're not standing in line waiting for autographs and going and talking that kind of talk with other people.
Right.
I can't do that.
Oh, I know. I remember. Oh.
I told the story so many times about some of these fans that we've run into over the years like that. I've told the story of the whole Stone Cold meeting with that guy in Vegas. I do feel bad about that. I did apologize the next year.
I don't know.
The guy who wanted to go and give him, remember that? Where the guy wanted to give him a gift.
Yeah.
I had it at that point.
Yeah. Well, you're sitting in line with somebody that, I'm gonna sound horrible, but they smell.
That's convention life, though, buddy. That's convention life, no matter what.
Just don't brush your teeth, and
they've worn the same clothing the whole weekend.
Yeah.
That's convention life. That's typical, though. That's just typical. You know what you're getting into. I also like to tell a story all the time when we were at Greg Price's show. We ran into Charles Robinson. We're like about halfway through our conversation with him, and he goes, guys, it's just really nice to talk to some normal people for a change. We're like, thanks.
Right.
I think we're just shooting the shit about anything but wrestling with him.
Yeah, exactly.
It was fun. All right, man. Well, that was today's little thing, was to talk about collecting for you and I, and how we got involved, and that's where it just kind of merged into WTC. It really did. Our collection turned to WTC. to me, I know you still keep your stuff, and I do have quite a bit of my things still. I will part with them at one point, one day, only because I don't have any purpose for them anymore now. The thrill first is gone, so I mean, it just sits in the storage and dust. I'm not an archivist that way for physical stuff, and WTC is my collection. So,
You
and
know,
anything that, if it's something, images of a set that you've gotten and collected over the years that I don't have, it's like, well, I kind of living through vicariously through David now because I have his collection online.
funny, Lindsay asked me the other day, she was like, what do you want me to do with my stuff or your stuff when you pass away? And I
Well, you
told
know
her,
what
I go,
happens
like,
to my stuff? I pass away before you do.
yeah, I know it's coming to me.
That's right.
We've already had that discussion. I had told Lindsay, I was like, you can go ahead and sell it. I go, I can't take it with me.
Yeah.
What am I gonna do with it? So go ahead, throw it up on eBay, sell it, let somebody else enjoy it. That's what I would want to see done with it. I mean, start a new generation of collectors for all that's what it's meant for. So
And
go ahead.
especially my 8x10s. If you know a guy named David, I'm your hookup.
It's funny you say that. Somebody hit me up the other day and they were looking for an autograph photo of the Ultimate Warrior signed to David. And he wants to buy it. And I was like, no.
No.
But I'm not willing to part with it yet. But still I was like, okay, so there's some value to autograph signed to David out there.
You have a source now.
I really do. Yeah, he was adamant. He offered me some money for it, and I was like, no, sorry.
Somebody gave me shit for that on a board a long time ago about getting things signed because I don't get mass product signed. When I do these conventions, I don't go out and get a stack of stuff. I know some guys will pay for a talent's time and then whatever's left over, sign it all so I can sell in the secondary market. I'm not that guy. I don't do that kind of stuff. Stuff I do have, I typically give it away as prizes for card games and stuff like that. So I remember somebody tried to accuse me once, might have been on our old board, I think, for WTC about like I was taking stuff and selling it, getting all the stuff and selling it. You go, yeah, from all these collections I have, I mean, my personal stuff, yes, I am your official guy to sell a few things. If your name is Tony, I am your hookup because if it's made to Tony, I'll sell it to you. It's not how it is.
I go through some of the stuff I have. I kind of regret getting it personalized, but at the same time, I don't because
Yeah, I don't care.
I mean, I really didn't. It was fun at the moment. I enjoy it. I've never gotten anything and said I'm going to sell this. Not one autograph I've ever gone for. The goal was to sell it. Not one trading card set I've ever gotten. I said I'm going to sell this.
I have in a box behind me over here. I have that wonderful Stone Cold ring mat that you got signed for me.
Oh yeah, at Mark and Brian.
Yeah,
That's a great
Celebrity
card.
Golf Tournament.
Yeah. I was kind of jealous of that card too because it's a really neat looking card. So if you ever want to, send that to 60.
Be right back.
Card.
That's right. There it is. Oh, I found it. Looky what we have here. I mean, this beauty right there.
Yes. That is it. Well, I haven't seen that in years.
Yep, that's the one you got from me because you and your mom, I think, went to that Celebrity Golf Tournament thing.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to make myself look really bad. I remember going to that and he was in a golf cart and people were coming to the side of him and he was trying to sign as much as he could. And I was like, what? And I looked to the front of it. Nobody's in the front of it. So I walked around to the front. I was like, can I win this? Hand him another one. Hand him another one.
Now, was this before or after you and I went to Vegas with Mikey and I went to go to help out with Raven?
That was years before.
Or years before, okay. Because then I remember we went to Vegas for the Cauliflower Alley Club and we're getting ready to leave. And I said, well, let me go say goodbye to Raven. And they were inside the TGI Fridays there. And I went and Raven was sitting there having a beer with Steve. And I said, well, I'm going to go just say goodbye to Raven and take off. And we hadn't run around and saw Steve that whole weekend, I don't think we got near him. We were only there for the day.
I got you your autograph or your photo with Steve coming out of the elevator.
But not that same weekend, though, not with Mikey.
Maybe not with Mikey. I just know one of the cauliflower events he
Correct.
was at, he came out of the elevator, and I had already gotten him, and you were, remember how we met him originally? I think was at that sports event at the pond.
Yes.
Where we had over the table, And you were so mad about that auto. You were so mad about that
No,
photo
that
because
wasn't that, but that wasn't Stone Cold. He didn't show up for that.
I thought he was there for
It
that.
was it was Hogan and Mr. T.
Oh, Mr. T.
Yes, and we were you and your sister were the first two people in line after they got up and spoke. It was called Night of Champions,
Yeah.
and I said, well, I want to sit back. If you guys want to hold my place, I want to sit back and see John Wooden speak because John Wooden was next.
Right.
So when I saw him speak, I came back out. Hogan still wasn't out there doing his thing yet. It's like that. And then you go right up there, go right behind there, get your picture taken, blah, blah, blah. Like, okay, stop. We're not doing it anymore. And I had to lean over. I go, fuck this, man. I can't back to do this. I want to go around back here. That pissed me off so much.
You were calling like a little child, man. It was so funny.
I was so pissed off.
He wasn't at that, right? I thought
No, he was supposed to. It was supposed to be him. Goldberg showed up for that.
Right.
Supposed to be Steve Goldberg. They made those special cards.
Yeah.
To announce them. It was for an AM station that was promoting it. It's like that. It was called the Night of Champions. They had Magic Johnson and Jerry Rice and Joe Montana and John Wooden. From all different sports were there to talk, motivational speaking.
Yeah, I remember that.
And I remember Hogan's daughter Brooke did the national anthem. And
oh yeah.
but yeah, I mean that Stone Cold one. So we went to go say goodbye to Raven, and you guys sit out. And I went in there, and I went to say, hey. Raven, Scott taking off like that. And he goes, no. Because I had Raven like, no. Hey, Steve, this is my friend Tony. It's like that. He's been wanting to talk to you all day. It's like that. He goes, oh, any friend of Scott's is a friend of mine. And like, well, sit down. I'm looking at you guys and go.
Yeah, I remember.
So he signed my encyclopedia and it's like that at the time, which, by the way, that is a heartbreaker for me. That encyclopedia got ruined and thrown away.
It did?
All those signatures I had in there, Judy Martin, Stone Cold, everybody who was in there, it's all gone.
What happened to it?
It was at a house in Rialto, California, and I had it on the floor in the closet, carpeted, not realizing there was a water leak in there.
Oh.
And the book, it was full, and all the pages tore apart.
Oh.
All of it. I literally threw it in the trash, and I cried.
That would be a heartbreaker.
It was signatures you'll never get.
Oh, no. Wow.
It was bad. Remember, I took that with me to Charlotte. I took it with me everywhere.
I knew a bunch of guys that were working really hard on getting that signed.
Oh, I've seen a lot of those guys working with the talent I've worked with over the years. I see guys like, they come in to pay for one autograph, and I'm like I don't give a fuck. Especially with Kevin. Kevin's in that book like 3-4 times like that. And I say, hey, mark the pages ahead of time. I'll have them sign all the pages, one price.
Yeah, that's cool of you to do that.
So they come in and it's like, oh, can you do this? Like, yeah, no, whatever you want.
Yeah, you got Nash, you got Diesel, you got Vinny Vegas, whatever. Oz.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Exactly
whatever he's in the encyclopedia as either NWO, Nash, Diesel.
That's really cool that you do that for people.
Yeah, because I know what a pain in the ass is. Like, I'm not going to pay $30-$40 a pop for each autographs like that. You don't need to be. You want fans to walk away feeling good. They're meeting their heroes. So yeah, you get to catch them at the moment. Like, I get to go ahead and take advantage of your high if I want to. But I feel bad. I've been on that side of the table. You and I've been on that side of the table before, so I know what it's like to be on that side of the table.
I just remember autographs at one point. $10 to get an autograph, $10 to get a photo.
Yep.
And it amazes me how much this has exploded over the last, 20 years, the prices that people pay.
Yep.
And, teach his own. You're making money. You got to make a living. I get it. But like, wow.
It's a supply and demand thing. And people like certain people I used to work with, like to push the envelope and see how far they can go.
Well, it's just like trading cards though. I mean,
sure.
Individual cards now paying, what did we talk about earlier today? $20,000.
Yeah. I mean, I saw that link, that Hogan card went for $20,000.
That's just crazy to me for a piece of cardboard. So it's no different. I mean, supply and demand, and like you said, and people that's an investment that they're making. I just imagine making that investment in a piece of cardboard, but hey, to each his own.
To each his own, man. Really, it is. But
hey, buddy, it's good to see you.
Good to see you again.
Just so you know, I made sure I wore a different visor the last 2 times to keep it up because you haven't seen me in a long time.
Sure, it's okay. I know the visor thing is your thing. I still have my visor from you.
Do you?
I do. It's in storage.
Okay. I'm just glad you have it.
I still have my jersey too.
I see that your wonderful wife is corrupted you in so many ways, and I see you supporting Arizona teams. It just breaks my heart.
Yes, but I still support. I wear it, but I still support Green Bay.
That's good to hear. I'm glad to hear you say that.
I still
That's
support
important.
Green Bay just as much as I still even with the acts and stuff like that. I still support Denver at a certain level too.
Do what you got to do, man.
Well, I support them to lose, but that's besides the point.
Yeah.
Still support.
Okay. Hey, man, you have a good one.
You too. I'll talk to you soon. Bye.